time the Minnesota Twins had the first overall pick was back in 2001, and the local boy, Joe Mauer, was selected. Mauer's had an impressive career, the AL MVP in 2009. He's a six-time All-Star, three-time Gold Glover, and three-time batting champion. And just under an hour ago, the Twins picked first again.
With the first selection of the 2017 MLB Draft, the Minnesota Twins select Royce Lewis, a shortstop.
Welcome to Twins territory, Royce Lewis. He was widely considered through baseball to be the best position player available. A tremendous athlete with lots of upside. He prefers shortstop, but can play various positions. The Twins were excited to lock down a player that can mesh with a lot of young talent right now that's having success already in the big leagues. The young guns, the Minnesota Twins right now enjoying first place 2.5 months into the season in the AL Central, just like they were back in 2001 when they selected Joe Mauer. Tonight, the Twins embark on an 11-game homestand here at Target Field against the Seattle Mariners. And Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Welcome inside Target Field. There is a buzz in this town. There is a buzz in this stadium. Draft night is always exciting, but it's extra exciting when you have the first overall pick and 3 picks within the first 37. The Twins have had the first pick before, and they've had success with that top pick when they selected Joe Mauer back in 2001. Mauer has been really good lately, and he's been outstanding against the Mariners. In his last 7, .321, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs against Seattle. And we'll see if he and the Twins can get things turned around off another great road trip, because Minnesota's been rolling on the road, but now can they get it cooking at home? Dick Bramer and Bert Blythe promise they have the recipe for success, and they'll share that with us as we get ready to start this big homestand.
North is presented by Toyota. Tested, trusted Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Dodge. Test drive a Dodge Challenger or Charger at the Dodge Drive and Discover sales event going on now.
The rain has stopped the tarps off the field. We'll get started on time as the Twins hope to put together their most successful homestand of the year. We've got the same pitching matchup we had last week in Seattle. Right-hander Giovanni Gallardo going for the Mariners, and Alberto Mejia, the left-hander, going for the Twins. Welcome to Target Field. Dick Bramer and Bert Blyleven with you for the opener of what is now an 11-game homestand, and the Twins hope to have that good homestand that so far has eluded them. They hope to see continued signs of improvement from young left-hander Adalberto Mejia.
Yeah, you know what? Mejia started in the rotation this year back in April. It didn't fare too well. He had 3 starts where he really struggled. He was sent down to the minor leagues. And one thing that I think he did down in the minor leagues, he established that fastball. Over his last 4 starts, they've been very, very consistent. In either of his starts, all 7 of them, he hadn't given up more than 3 runs. So fastball and then mix in a breaking ball for Mejia.
Well, the Twins will hope to get some run production from the middle of their lineup while suppressing the middle of Seattle's lineup that is going to include tonight Nelson Cruz, who has simply relished hitting in this ballpark. We'll have the top 2 RBI men facing against one another as the Twins and Mariners, who will see a lot of each other over the last week and a half, get this 4-game series started tonight in Target Field.
Of baseball with the biggest of dreams.
Wow, this ball's deep and gone! Bauer ties the game with a home run.
For a select few, that dream becomes a reality. It's draft night in Major League Baseball. Tonight, we celebrate the culmination of an athlete's dream and recognize the journey and hard work that it takes to become a big leaguer. Keep dreaming big, because you never know who might make it to the show.
Joe Mauer, the first overall pick back in 2001. The Twins have had a couple of them over the years. 1983, they had Tim Belcher after the 102-loss season of 1982, but Belcher didn't sign with the Twins. And Buxton and Mauer, both former #1 draft picks,
will be in the lineup here tonight as we're ready to get this 4-game series and 11-game homestand underway. Ben Gamble in the box. Mejia ready, and the first pitch up and in, ball 1.
Well, Seattle Mariners coming in, of course, a 3-game series in Seattle. This is a beginning of a 4-game series. Mejia faced them as his mound opponent did. They're kind of a rematch here.
Looked like he was in position to get the win, but that was the game where Mike Zunino hit the big home run against Brandon Kintzler, and the Mariners took the series 2-1 instead of the other way around. Gamble way out in front, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, Mejia in that ball game worked 5 innings. He gave up 3 runs, a couple hits, only a couple hits, and they were back-to-back home runs, making his 8th start of the year.
Back-to-back home runs by the 8 and 9 batters in the lineup. Zunino and Chute Ruiz. 2-2 to Gamble. Haniger and Cano will follow. And now a full count. Mejia walked 3 men in his start against the Mariners. And it's generally 2 or 3 walks every start for Mejia. And that's taken low for an opening walk to Ben Gamble. Menard's batting order for Scott Service and the Mariners. Gamble followed by Mitch Haniger, just activated off the disabled list. Robinson, Cano, Nelson Cruz missed most of the Twins series in Seattle. He's back in there today. Kyle Seager, Danny Valencia, Mike Zunino, Guillermo Heredia, and Tyler Smith. There's Scott Service in his 2nd year. The Mariners have kind of gotten to the 500 mark, maybe a game over, then back below. It's been one of those years for the Mariners, but they're playing pretty good baseball right now. There's strike 1.
They're just in a very tough division with the Houston Astros. They're in 3rd place, just only 13 games behind the Astros.
Yeah, Seattle's won 10 of their last 14 games, and they haven't picked up 1 game against the Astros because that's what Houston's done over the last 2 weeks. 1 strike to Haniger. And now outside, 1-1.
Haniger just activated off the disabled list. He was on a disabled list with a right oblique strain. Was put on a 10-day DL back in April 26, just activated a couple days ago.
32 1/3 innings, and Mejia's gotten 1 ground ball double play. And it's the age-old question: who has the advantage? The Mariners because they saw Mejia last week, or Mejia because he's seen most of these Seattle hitters recently?
Well, you have to make quality pitches. You know, a lot of times I'd go back to back, and you have to. One time it's good, sometimes it's not so good. Both times, so you don't know.
1-2. Since his recall, 4 starts, 23 innings, 9 earned runs, and a 3.52 ERA. So definite signs of improvement. 1 outing of 7 innings, couple of 5s and a 6. Dribbled, and Mejia's going to have to hurry, and Mauer can't dig the throw out, and it rolls to the sidewall. And being held at 3rd is Gamble. And the Mariners have something started here in the 1st. Mejia threw 1 low, ground level, and Mauer got leather on it but didn't catch it.
Also into the runner right here too, so Mauer can see where that runner is.
Yep.
Right off the tip of the glove. So it should be an error on Mejia, allowing the runners to move up a couple bases.
So 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and here's Robinson Cano. I asked Cano about Mejia after the start in Seattle, and Cano at least was very impressed with Mejia's ability to change the arm angle on his breaking balls to left-handed batters, and he may need to do that here in the 1st inning.
Yeah, in that ball game, Cano went 0 for 3 against Mejia. Mejia starts him off with a good breaking ball. Cano in his 4th season with the Seattle Mariners, 13th overall season. He came up with the Yankees. 7-time All-Star. Won a couple Gold Gloves.
popped up short center field. In fact, it's the shortstop Adrianza who makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up Nelson Cruz. Northland Ford defense for the Minnesota Twins. Robbie Grossman in left, Byron Buxton in center, Max Kepler in right. Sano, Adrianza left side of the infield, Dozier and Mauer on the right side, and Jason Castro doing the catching. Well, I'm surprised Nelson Cruz is taking his time getting to the batter's box. Given what he's done hitting in this ballpark, you'd have thought he'd have been in there ready to go already.
Stepping in front of Cano.
No, it's my turn. It's my turn. He loves hitting here. And he's in an RBI spot right away with runners at second and third and only one out.
Mejia did not face Cruz in Seattle.
And in the last 14 games against the Twins, including the games at Safeco Field, triple crown worthy numbers. And so Mejia faced in a tough spot here against Nelson Cruz. Right away, one out, two men in scoring position. And a base hit up the middle. Gamble will score. Haniger being waved around, and Cruz continues to do damage against the Twins.
Fastball away. Cruz didn't try to do too much with it. Took it right back up the middle. And Rianza playing, shading him a little bit toward third base line. So a big hole up the middle. And Cruz picking up RBIs number 47 and 48.
Cruz missed some time with a calf injury. He's at first. And the Mariners have jumped out quickly 2-0. Here's Kyle Seager. Seager had a good series against the Twins. You can see the draft placement for the players since it's draft day, the first day of the draft, first day of 3. We'll show you where and when players have been drafted. 1-0. Foul back. 1-1.
Seager out of the University of North Carolina was drafted by Seattle. And Mejia out of Dominican Republic. He was not drafted. He signed as a free agent.
Players from Puerto Rico are eligible for the draft. The Dominican players are not. Same true of the players from Venezuela. Puerto Rico, a Commonwealth of the United States, and I don't know, maybe someday the 51st state, but they are draftable. Jose Barrios, for instance, was drafted, but not players from the Dominican Republic or Germany for that matter. 2-1 to Seager. High fly center field, hanging up there for Buxton, and out number 2. Tonight we are participating in the home run challenge. Every home run and strikeout in this game raises money for prostate cancer research. Since June 1st, $2.5 million have been raised in the challenge, and you can make a pledge by going to homerunchallenge.org. 2 down, and now Danny Valencia.
And Danny, of course, was signed by the Twins in 2006. 19th round. 3 seasons he wore a Twins uniform. And I think we mentioned in Seattle, Dick, he's kind of been around the block over the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of different teams.
His longest tenure still with the Twins. 1-0 to Valencia. Of course, the Twins had him as a third baseman, and He won't be playing there with Kyle Seager manning that position for the Mariners, but he does play first base. And for a couple of years was able to stay in the big leagues because he punished left-handed pitching. Now he's figured out some things against right-handers as well. 2-0. Way out in front, 2-1.
Yeah, he's in his first season with the Seattle Mariners. Last year with Oakland, hit .287 in 130 ball games. 17 home runs, drove in 51.
Let's see, this year he's actually hitting righties better than lefties in terms of batting average and power. 2-1 to Valencia. And a strike call, 2-2. Well, Mejia's pitch count elevated here in the first inning, and he's got no one to blame but himself. The opening walk to start the ball game, and then the throwing error.
You know, we even saw that on the road trip. Walks always end up scoring, especially if that's first batter of the inning.
Pounded foul. Still 2-2. Paul Molitor, his team has bounced back nicely from the horrible season last year and playing very much like the first team he managed here in 2015.
Saw Felix Hernandez, King Felix, got a rehab start last night. He's going to be activated here in a couple, 4 or 5 days.
Twins won't face him.
Nope.
2-2 to Valencia. And another chopper foul.
He worked in last night's ball game, 5 innings. Gave up only 1 hit with 5 strikeouts. That's his second minor league rehab start.
Another example of the advantage Mariners have, having their AAA team just down the road in Tacoma. He can do that, get up, get on the charter and fly with the team. So let's get the city fathers and mothers of Rochester, Minnesota to put together a AAA team, and then we'll move the Twins AAA team from Rochester, New York to Rochester, Minnesota, and then the Twins will have that built-in advantage. Way out in front. Valencia strikes out. Ragged start to the inning and a couple of runs scored, but Mejia survives, allowing just the 1 hit. Single to put the Mariners up in the first inning. We'll see what the Twins can do. Paul Molitor's had a winning record against the Mariners, even though they lost 2 of 3 in Seattle last week. Menard's batting order for the Twins. Brian Dozier leading off. Robbie Grossman second. Then Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Max Kepler, Kenny Vargas, Jason Castro, Byron Buxton and A-Ray Adrianza.
And Yvonne Gallardo on the mound. He's making his 13th start, his second straight start against the Twins. In that start against Mejia and the Twins, he got a no decision, of course, but he pitched a season-high 7 innings in that ball game, allowed only 1 home run. That was Sano, and that was a big 3-run home run in the 5th inning.
Dozier takes up and away, ball 1. This is game 60 for the Minnesota Twins. They played 31 at home now and 29 on the road. Dozier fouls it back, 1-1.
Twins saw a lot of Gallardo when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers. Right-handers are hitting this year against him .339. Left-handers actually hitting less, 244.
This is fairly deep to the right field corner. Haniger chasing it. That ball is fair. And in the corner, a pop fly double down the right field line for Brian Dozier. Haniger, like a lot of right fielders, shifting Dozier toward the gap, and Brian hit it right down the right field line.
Yeah, by the time Haniger could get there, it's right in the corner. Hits the base of the fence, and then underneath that padding, it dies right there. So a leadoff double for Dozier, his 11th of the year.
Well, now Robbie Grossman.
Twins would like to come back with a run or two of their own here in the bottom of the 1st.
Grossman will not chase. He takes ball 1. 4th in the league in on-base percentage now, behind Trout, Judge, and Hicks.
Yeah, Robbie hitting .284 as a left-handed hitter.
Chipped foul over the Seattle dugout, 1-1. Gallardo had pretty good outing, all things considered, against the Twins. He went 7 innings, gave up the big 3-run home run you talked about with to Miguel Sano. Gave up 4 runs in that inning. One and 1 on the outside corner.
Gallardo with a fastball straight over the top, curveball, slider, changeup. There's the curveball right there.
And that kicks away from Zunino. Dozier to third base on a wild pitch.
That's a curveball landed in front of Zunino. It's unable to block it. For Gallardo, his 4th wild pitch of the year, and that does move Brian into scoring position just 90 feet away. Ricocheted off of Zunino.
Just off the edge, close pitch, and it's 3-2. Well, Grossman's batting average is climbing. It's the steady diet of walks that has elevated his on-base percentage so high.
33 walks for Grossman.
Trying to get a board, and if he makes it out, make it a productive out, getting Dozier in from third. And he took ball 4. 2 aboard now from Mauer.
Both starters not doing a good job with the first 2 hitters they faced.
35 walks now for Grossman and just 30 strikeouts. Mariners out in the field. Gamble at left. Guillermo Heredia in center. Haniger in right. Seager, Smith, Cano, Valencia, the infielders. Zunino behind the plate. Bauer. Back on the outside corner.
Joe has good numbers against Gallardo, 8 hits and 19 at bats.
Drifts outside, 1-1. Gallardo seems to want to get you to expand your strike zone. Well, that doesn't work with Grossman very well, and it doesn't work to this guy very well either. Got ahead of Mauer. Side now 2-1. Numbers suggest Gallardo hasn't had many games like the game he had against the Twins, where he really only ran into trouble in 1 inning.
A lot of his damage has actually been in Seattle, where he's 1-3 in ERA, about 7.5. He's pitched better on the road.
On the outside corner, 2-2.
Gallardo's making his 11th career start against the Twins. In the first 10, he's 3-2, 3.39 ERA. He has 1 complete game shutout against the Twins to go back to 2010. 5-hitter.
Mauer trying to elevate one to the outfield. Dozier can get a big lead off of third base because the third baseman Seager is about 30 feet off the bag. Two and two. Grossman checked again. Mariners figuring accurately, I think, that anything close, Joel will be swinging at it. And in the event of a ground ball, the Twins want to try to stay out of a double play. Grossman stays put, and Bauer lashes it to left. It's down for a hit, and it will get by Gamble. Dozier scores. Grossman to third. We've got a tie game on a 2-run double by Joe Mauer.
You know, we see so many teams shading Joe to left field to protect that line, and Joe this time shot it between the left fielder and the center fielder. So the ball hit pretty much right down the heart of the plate. Joe taking it the other way. Now once it got past Gamble, Dozier scores, of course. You can see Gene Glenn sending in Grossman, and the game is tied just like that.
Sano, who saw Cruz take over the RBI lead with a first inning single, has Mauer at second, nobody out. In the dirt, blocked by Zunino.
Yeah, Mauer with that double, his 13th of the year, picking up his 26th and 27th run batted in.
Zano takes up an in, 2-0. Well, base is open, and if you want to identify Gallardo as a nibbler, I'm not going to object. We'll see whether he gives Sano something to swing at here with Kepler on deck. Fouled away. 2-1. I've not seen Sano wear the jaw guard before. Have you, on the helmet?
No, I have not.
Huh.
There was nothing in San Francisco series that.
No, not a bad move. To center, where Heredia makes the catch, 1 away.
Yeah, Snow getting jammed a little bit. He really struggled in that 3-game series in San Fran. Only got 1 hit.
Mauer, of course, the former #1 overall pick, and tonight the Twins had the #1 choice, and they took shortstop Royce Lewis, who will join us a little later on this evening. 18 years old, 6'2", 190 pounds. You can see the description of him.
Out of San Juan Capistrano in Southern California.
And so the Twins deciding to go with a shortstop under the assumption that sometimes they are the best athletes on the team. Kepler takes inside ball 1. Kepler had a tough series in San Francisco. He averaged down to 250. Pulled, foul.
Yeah, Kepler's in that pop-up mode. A lot of pop-ups have come off his bat.
One and one to the Twins right fielder. Dug out of the dirt by Zunino. 2-1. It's been a struggle for Gallardo as the Twins started the ball game. Double, walk, double. Kepler checks and takes a strike on the inside corner. It's 2-2.
Yeah, both starters needing a lot of pitches. Mejia needed 25 in the first. Take a look at the pitch right here.
Pulled on the ground, right side, gloved by Valencia, and just barely ahead of Kepler. Gallardo is there, and on the play, Mauer goes to third. 2 down, and that'll bring up Vargas.
That's a nice play by Valencia going to his right. Gets it on that short hop, and from one knee flipping it to Gallardo, who has to get over there, which you can see he is. And he beats Kepler to the bag.
Vargas survived the roster move. Twins had to make room for Jorge Polanco. And they ended up keeping Vargas and going with 12 pitchers rather than 13.
Chris Heston going down to the minor leagues.
Strike 1. Not a manager in the game that would like to keep 13 pitchers. Sometimes they have to out of necessity. Now it's incumbent on the Twin starters and relievers to carry the workload. Mauer could, my goodness, Joe Mauer could start Gallardo's pitch 45 feet from home plate. Heston optioned to Rochester, and Polanco activated from the bereavement list. Look where Seager is playing, and he's the closest defender to Mauer. I mean, Joe could start the pitch halfway to home plate. I've never seen a third baseman that far away from the bag with a runner at third.
It'll have to be that. It'll have to be Gallardo that runs them back.
0-2 to Vargas. On the outside corner. So Gallardo allows the first 2 batters to reach and score, and we're even at 2 after 1.
RBI hit has the game tied at 2 as we go to the top of the second. Time for our car soup scoop from what's in the clubhouse. And we talked about Jorge Polanco reinstated from the bereavement list. Had a conversation with Paul Maurer about that. He said he wants to ease him back, an emotional time with this loss of his grandfather. They're going to give him a couple days to kind of get situated. But look for Jorge Polanco back in this series, guys. Glenn Perkins scheduled yesterday to pitch in a simulated game that was rained out. They'll try it again tomorrow. If things go well, Maurer said most likely by the end of the week he'll be down in Fort Myers with the Class A team, kind of getting that rehab start to get him back out throwing in real baseball games. A long road back certainly for Perkins. And then of course Phil Hughes, still no update, tingling in his fingers. That shoulder situation has not improved, so don't look for anything pitching wise from Phil Hughes anytime soon, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin was in the room when Paul Molitor addressed the Phil Hughes situation. The thing that I found disappointing, alarming, certainly feeling for Phil, they don't know yet what's causing it for sure. The tingling in his fingers, it's the same symptom he had. But Phil is here, and when I checked with him in the last homestand, he said they've ruled out an aneurysm or anything like that, but something's causing the discomfort. 2-0, and now 3-0 to the leadoff man here in the Seattle second, Mike Zunino.
Well, it was a leadoff walk that hurt Mahara in the first inning. Need him swing the bat.
There's a strike, 3-1. Zunino, Heredia, and Smith, bottom third of the Mariner lineup. Strike 2.
Yeah, control has not really been an issue for Mejia.
Couple 3 a game. Every game 2 or 3. That's been it. But you don't want leadoff walks.
No.
Full count here to the leadoff man in the second. Twins had a good series in Seattle. Looked like they were going to win 2 out of 3, but then Zunino did his thing. Soft line drive, and Sano with the catch, 1 away.
That little cutter got in on him right there. Good pitch. So he came back 3-0, ended up getting Zunino.
And now Heredia.
Take a look at this pitch right here. Little breaking ball. Zunino kind of jammed himself, hit that little soft pop-up.
Fox Tracks presented by Dodge. 1 down in the second, and a fresh count now starting with Guillermo Heredia in the box. And he has got that spot now. That fastball down and away. He's thrown it 3 times this inning for a called strike. Up the middle, sharply a base hit. That'll bring up Tyler Smith.
Second hit for the Mariners.
Both of them taken right up the middle. And now Smith just 1 for 8. Taylor Motter's been struggling at the plate. And now Smith getting a chance to play some at short. And again, a little later on here tonight, we're going to get a chance to over the phone talk with Royce Lewis, who may be the Twins shortstop of the future. At least that's what he's hoping. Outstanding high school athlete. Picked #1 overall by the Twins just a little while ago. Slide step there, ball 1. Mejia's been on the mound for 4 stolen base attempts, and 2 of them have been successful.
I was watching Heredia on that. When Mejia picked that right knee up, he kind of went back to the bag. Quick throw right there by Mejia.
If you're a runner, that's got to get your attention. That was close. Joe Favre checking to see whether Twins may have gotten an out on that pickoff move. Nope, no challenge.
Quick throw, quick tag. With the right hand back on the bag before Joe could apply the tag. That's why it's important for base runners like Mejia, when they dive back to the bag, go to the outfield side of the bag.
Out of center and down for a hit again. Buxton charges. Heredia checks in. First and second. One down. This Twins Mariners series on Fox Sports North is presented by Subway. Mejia in his start in Seattle had problems with the 8 and 9 batters, and now again here tonight. Heredia singles, Smith singles, back to Gamble, who walked and scored in the first inning. Down and away, ball 1. First time through the order. And Mejia's only retired 4 batters. Slice to left, a base hit. Grossman charges, and they'll hold the runner at third. Grossman's throw on the fly to home plate, pretty strong throw. But now they're loaded up with 1 out for Haniger.
Well, Gamble continues to hit for the Mariners. Came into the ball game hitting .327. Came over last year from the New York Yankees. Kind of an inside out swing here. Puts it softly in front of Grossman.
You don't expect that pitch in that location to be slapped to left field. It was in off the plate. Loaded up, 1 down, and Haniger hit the dribbler between the third baseline and the mound. Mejia got the ball and threw errantly toward first. Bauer playing in front of the runner at first base. Ball 1.
Now, you mentioned only 1 double play turn behind Mejia so far, this being his 8th start.
Yeah. 1-1. Mejia faced 6 batters in the first inning, and now he's pitching to his 5th batter of the second inning.
This will be pitch number 40 already.
2-1.
Neil Allen looking on.
Worked with a lot of different pitchers again this year, hasn't he? Relievers, spot starters. 2-1. That's hit to the gap in right center field. Buxton going back, and he won't get there. And it bounces over the wall for a 2-run double. It's caught at least a temporary break there, with Haniger blasting one over the head of Buxton. It's 4-2.
Well, falling behind, have to go in with a fastball, but the fastballs are left up. And Haniger got a fastball and hammered it. Take a look at the pitch sequence right here. Couple outside, and then he has to come in with a fastball up. And Haniger hitting it straight away center. And if Buxton can't catch it, nobody can.
So another hit essentially up the middle of the field. Gamble's hit went to the opposite field. Cruz got the only hit of the first inning. That went up the middle. So the game plan for the Mariners seems to be let Mejia and his pitches travel a little deep into the strike zone and hit him up the middle into the opposite field.
Well, his fastball doesn't have a lot of movement on it, so he's a guy that has to work both sides of the plate with that fastball and keep it down. Get too many fastballs up.
One guy that he's been able to retire in 4 at bats so far, Robinson Cano.
They got him on a breaking ball that Cano popped up.
Five hits already for the Mariners. Little roller up the middle, and Dozier knocks it down. He'll save a run for the time being. Coming in from third is Gamble, and Cano gets an RBI single. The ball gets into center field. It's a 2-run single.
Cano picking up his 38th run batted in. as Gamble scores the 3rd run.
5 straight hits against Mejia.
Yeah, slider right there. Not a bad pitch, but Cano's such a good hitter. And a nice play by Dozier smothering that ball.
And the double play in order if Cruz can hit a ground ball at somebody, and just mentally bookmark that play by Dozier. Depending on what happens in this at bat, it may have saved the Twins a run. Taken low, ball 1. Alex Wimmer's warming up in the 2nd inning. Another former #1 draft pick. Check swing, but he went. And it's 1-1.
Cruz 36 years old now in his 3rd season with the Mariners. A lot of power. He's hit 40 or more home runs over the last 3 years. And he led the American League with 40 last year.
Two and 1. A walk and an error to start the game. The error charged to Mejia. And he managed the 1st inning, I guess, well enough after that. But now all sorts of trouble with 5 straight hits here in the 2nd. 2 and 1. That's to right center field. Chased by Kepler. And he'll make the catch on the warning track. And another run will come in from 3rd base. Haniger scores. It's a 4-run inning. And another run batted in for Cruz.
Yeah, 49 on the year. A breaking ball left up. Cruz taking it the other way. Cano went halfway. He's back at first. But Haniger scores for the 2nd time in a ball game.
Seager will hit. He hit a fly ball to Buxton last inning. Which had Nick Turley yesterday make his major league debut. And Mejia not too far removed from his major league debut. Hector Santiago on the disabled list. Phil Hughes, we mentioned, hasn't picked up a baseball with any seriousness in weeks. Way out in front again, 0-2.
That's the most runs that Mejia has given up in a start. This is his 8th start. You know, first time around he had some really short outings. They just threw a lot of pitches. And they sent him down to Rochester. Last 4 have been really good.
2 strikes to Kyle Seager. And Seager's gone. 4 runs for the Mariners. We'll see whether there's another inning or 2 left in Mejia. And Royce Lewis will join us.
the Minnesota Twins select Royce Lewis, a shortstop.
And Royce Lewis is joining us now from Southern California. I'm guessing you'll probably hear that quite a few more times, and probably gives you goosebumps just to hear the replay of it, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It was a great feeling, and I'm still in shock. It's amazing.
Jason Castro with a one-hopper, smashed a Cano, and Castro hit the ball hard into the shift, one down. Well, Royce, thank you for being with us here tonight, and congratulations on your status now as the #1 overall pick. Did it surprise you when you heard that you were the Twins pick?
You know, going in, I knew I had the ability to do it, and I was just happy to have the opportunity. But it did surprise me still, just because you don't know what's going to happen in the draft. And you know, it was a great feeling, and you know, I started crying when it happened. But you know, I was happy to share it with my family, and it was great.
That's awesome. Now, your mom and dad, and you have a sister, you said, that was 16 years old?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, you're down in San Juan Capistrano right now?
I'm actually in LA, but
okay.
Yeah.
And Royce, they signed you basically as an infielder, shortstop. Is that a position that I know that you played your senior year this year, but you played other positions also?
Yeah, yes, I have. I played everywhere on the diamond. You know, mostly infield, and shortstop's a position I'd love to play, and you know, I'm glad that they were able to accommodate, or you know, however it works, I'm willing to accommodate as well. So I was just happy.
What exposure do you have swinging a wooden bat?
Every summer, you know, out here in California, the weather's always perfect. But you know, every summer we're always swinging wood bat, and I think that, you know, just every summer I've always been confident in my ability and the transition from the metal to the wood, and I still feel like it'll be the same.
I got to ask you, Royce, did you play other sports in high school?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I played, you know, roller hockey, soccer, basketball, football.
Good.
Even tennis. So,
you know, with so many travel teams, kids sometimes concentrate so much on one. Ground ball by Buxton, and a quick throw by Smith gets Buxton at first base.
I think the Twins might challenge that. I look from up here like Buxton might have beaten that throw across the diamond from Smith, and we'll see if the Twins challenge that. Buxton lingering near the bag because he thinks he's safe. And I saw on Twitter, we'll take a look at the replay here. Well, I don't think they'll challenge it in the second inning. I saw on Twitter, Royce, you're going to celebrate by going bowling tonight.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I love bowling. You know, it's one of those sports that I can actually compete at a high level as well as not get hurt. So that's a good key component right there.
We're showing some highlights of you playing shortstop at now, was it in San Clemente, a Catholic school there?
Yeah, down in San Juan Capistrano. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I mean, you know, all the events I played in over the summer, which they have footage on. I mean, you know, I had a lot of fun and made that best of my ability and played as great as I possibly could.
Well, Royce, we look forward to having you come to Minnesota here soon. And yeah, it gets cold in the wintertime, but we got a beautiful summer's night here, and we got a beautiful ballpark, and we're very much looking forward to you getting on the fast track and getting up to the big leagues as soon as possible.
All right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, me too. I can't wait to put a jersey on and start playing.
Congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Royce, thank you very much. Congratulations. Royce Lewis joining us from Los Angeles, where he was the #1 overall pick in baseball. And Twins have a couple of more picks to make later on tonight. Count to Adrianza's 1-2, and now 2-2.
You know, I had to ask him that question, Dick, and excuse my cold that I have tonight, but you know what? Kids need to go out and play other sports than just one sport. And I'm glad that he, you know, diversified. He went out and played other things. He's going bowling tonight. You can't get hurt doing that, he said.
2-2. And Adrianza taps it foul. So, you know, Twins fans, of course, are going, all right, well, let's imagine down the road. He wants to play shortstop. Well, so does Nick Gordon. But some people in the Twins organization feel Gordon be better served playing at second base, and he's playing both for Chattanooga right now, so it might be down the road. Twins will have a middle infield of Lewis at short, Nick Gordon at second.
Well, I'm going to say that Jorge Polanco's going to have something to say about that too. You know, so that's the history of the game of baseball. It's challenging.
Outside now, 3-2. Dozier on deck. I can't imagine. Well, you at least got drafted and signed, but I can't imagine at age 18 hearing your name mentioned as a #1 overall pick in baseball.
That had to be great.
Oh, goodness. Popped up. And coming in is Cano. And Gallardo now has set down 6 in a row, and he's got a 6-2 lead as we go to the 3rd inning. Twins president Dave St. Peter will join us on draft day when we come back. As the best defensive center fielder in the game. Buxton, the #2 pick in the draft a few years ago. And it's taken him some time, of course, as you'd expect, someone coming out of high school. And with that said, Royce Lewis, the Twins hope will be on the fast track, maybe even faster than Buxton. He's here now, and he's putting together Gold Glove caliber defense. And to talk about the draft and beyond the #1 overall pick is Dave St. Peter, Twins president. And Dave, I think that's something that Twins fans would be well served to do, to try to take a longer view of this year. It goes beyond the first overall pick, doesn't it, to the whole body of draft picks that the Twins will be drafting here in the next few days.
Yeah, Dick and Bert, it's great to be with you. And it is. I mean, there's so much focus on 1-1, and we understand that. But, you know, we have more work to do tonight, not only out here on the diamond to hopefully get back in this game, but picks 35 and 37,
right,
let alone what's going to come the next couple days. So, obviously, you know, we feel really good about Royce Lewis. Everything I've been told by not just Derek, but Thad and Sean Johnson is that this kid is not only an elite athlete, but really has tremendous leadership characteristics. And we think somebody who's going to be well suited to deal with the adversity that comes with this game throughout the development process.
They seem, Dave, to take the best athlete on the field. There were some pitchers, you know, that were out there like Green and some other guys, McKay, but they decided to go with the everyday player.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do know that Royce Lewis was #1 on our board, and I think, you know, Derek said as much tonight, that he had distanced himself over time in our mind from some of the other guys. I think that margin was really close, but I'm confident that we not only got the guy we wanted, but also I think we're going to have some flexibility here to do some other things here later tonight.
Now, he admitted he has never been to Minnesota, and I'm assuming that's something you'll rectify when he's ready to sign. We'll have a big party here.
Yeah, I think we need to send this kid on winter caravan, right?
Yes.
Right on. Yeah.
No, I would expect.
Let's get him signed first before we.
Well, I'm hopeful that will take will take place in the days to come and weeks to come. And obviously, I think Roy said it tonight. Getting his professional career underway as soon as possible, I know, is important to him, and it's clearly important to the Twins.
Zunino, the batter, he's got a 2-0 count. He had a pop-up soft line drive, if you will. A little bit softer than that one. That one got under the glove of Adrianza. Sano caught the first ball put in play by Zunino, and now a base hit with one out here in the third. And Heredia will bat. So the draft goes through Wednesday, correct?
That's correct.
And the Twins, well, we showed Nick Turley yesterday from San Francisco, 50th round draft pick, and there is no longer a 50th round. It's evolved over the years, hasn't it, the draft?
Yeah, it has, and clearly we're even operating tonight under a little different slot system than we had last year because it's part of the new collective bargaining agreement. So I think the draft system that we have today is much better. I think one of the best things about it is kids seem to sign. We're able to get them underway into our system a lot quicker.
There's a time period too now, right? You have to sign them by a certain.
There's a deadline, Bert, and I think that's been really, really helpful. So I think clearly the draft is the lifeblood of really every organization, and difficult to evaluate it here an hour after the pick. These things tend to take time, but we feel pretty good about how our process has evolved. I'm very comfortable that Derek and Falvey, Thad Levine, Sean Johnson, our new scouting director, have tried to look at all information available to try to make this pick, and I'm really confident that those systems are going to pay off.
And a strike call, and Heredia is gone on strikes, 2 away, and you get involved because it is a business decision. Thad and Derek and Sean have to come up with a game plan as to not so much how much money to spend, but where to allocate it and how to spread it out over 3 days.
Yeah, these are baseball decisions made by what we think are really talented baseball people. But one thing I like is there are more people involved in our draft room today than in the past. A fair number of folks from our technology group and our analytics group and medical group. Torrey Hunter's been a tremendous addition, as was Michael Kadire and LaTroy Hawkins. So it's a team effort.
Field. And Kepler is there. Hey, a scoreless top of the third inning. We should have had you here in the second inning.
Yeah, you know what? I should have been here. Thanks, guys.
Dave, all right, thanks Dave St. Peter for joining us. A scoreless third, a better inning for Mejia. Presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino. The best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Twins got some work to do. Brian Dozier to lead off the third. Twins down by 4. Gallardo settled into a bit of a groove, having retired 6 batters in a row. Dozier touched him for a pop fly double into the right field corner. And there was a walk that Mauer drove into with another double, but since then Gallardo has not allowed a base run. 1-1.
One thing about Gallardo in Seattle, they need these guys to step up and pitch quality innings. And he's a guy that had very good seasons with the Milwaukee Brewers. They're hoping that he can have one here.
Over the inside corner now, 1-2.
He comes into this game just 2 wins and 6 losses, an ERA at 6.26. For Seattle to stay in the race, whether it's not maybe going to catch Houston, but in the wild card race, they need him to step up.
Roughly 100 games to go for everybody. The Astros have the big lead, but they were dealt yet another blow today. Lance McCullers Jr. put on the disabled list with some low back issues. Dallas Keuchel a few days ago put on the disabled list for the second time with some neck issues. Colin McHugh's on the disabled list. Now with that lineup, it might not matter. They, what they score, 112 runs in the 3 games here at Target Field.
Something like that.
But they do have some pitching concerns with Houston.
As every club does.
2-2. Mariners went through it. They had 4 starters on the DL at one time. Here's another one drilled to right field. And this one is off the wall. Dozier heads for second. And he has a pair of opposite field doubles.
All right, I got a question for you. When's the last time we have seen Brian Dozier in 2 straight at-bats take the ball the other way? That's good hitting right there by Brian. His 2nd straight double, his 12th of the year. And again, the pitch away, he's not trying to pull it. And Henniger playing pretty shallow. That's hit over his head. 1 hops to fence. And it's another double for Brian.
3 hits for the Twins, 2 by Dozier, and all 3 hits have been doubles. Here is Grossman, drew a walk in the 1st inning. And now ball 1. Dozier may need a new belt. Here's the one he has. Well, he's got it working, I guess.
Well, you'd like to get back into the game the way that Seattle took the lead with 4 runs in the top of the 2nd. But these are really big at bats early in a ball game to get Dozier over to 3rd. Now, wild pitch got him over there in the 1st inning. But Grossman here, with Mauer on deck, got to get Brian over to 3rd somehow. Pick away at this 6-2 lead that the Mariners have.
Put it another way, the Twins are counting on getting a good at bat from Grossman, and he has certainly produced that, which is why he's getting more playing time. Popped up and chased by Seager, chased by Smith. A long run, and Seager makes the catch and foul ground. Great play by Seager at 3rd. And Grossman does not advance. Dozier 1 away.
And a pitcher Gallardo with everybody converting over to the shortstop, 3rd baseman, left fielder. Nobody at 3rd base, so the pitcher has to get over there. And Gallardo was right there after a nice catch by Seager.
Mauer cracked an opposite field double. All the hits have either been hit up the middle, this is for both teams, either been hit up the middle or to the opposite field. There hasn't been a pulled base hit in the ball game yet. Ball 1. Tonight's Coors Timeless Moment deals with the draft. Durham Hall with 10 draft picks among local schools. Number 1, Hill Murray, Minnetonka. Joe, of course, from Cretin Durham Hall. I still have a cap somewhere in my closet when Joe was drafted, and he and his family came to the Metrodome, and they were handing out Cretin Durham baseball caps. Purple ones, and I still have it in my closet someplace.
Should bring it out, let it play.
It's game used, but just not by Joe. I played a lot of softball games with it, so that's got to be worth something. It's a game used Cretin Durham Hall.
Dick Bramer.
Well, no, we don't mention it. We don't mention that part. We just say it's game used.
Well, you give me $5 in the hat, we'll call it even.
And I'll throw in the bag from Seattle that I was trying to sell you. 2-1 to Bauer. On the outside corner, and it's 2-2. Joe, of course, drafted #1 in 01 back in 1983 after the terrible season in 82. Twins drafted Tim Belcher, but they didn't sign him. He was just the second, no one since. There have only been 2 #1 overall picks who did not sign with the team that drafted them. Danny Goodwin with the White Sox a few years before that. Now 3-2. Then Danny Goodwin ended up playing with the Twins later on. But he did not sign with the White Sox in 1971. 3-2, Sano on deck. Bauer trying to get aboard for the big man.
Well, the financial rewards of being a #1 pick is pretty good today.
Bauer swings through a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, 2 down.
Yeah, just up in the zone. Gallardo picking up his 2nd strikeout.
And now Sano with Dozier still at second and now 2 away.
He struck out Vargas in the 1st inning. High fastball. And threw it past Joe. All right, Snow's going to have a good at bat right here. He's going to knock in a run.
Swing and a miss. We saw a 4-seam fastball at 94 and then a little cutter, something at 90 down and away. Gallardo type of pitcher who has to hit his spots, and I think we've seen on Fox Tracks that he pitches to the perimeter of the strike zone and not down the middle.
Well, he'll throw that curveball over the slider. There's a good fastball there at 94, 93.
Yeah, 4-seamer again, and he's got Sano in an 0-2 hole.
He's got a good straight over the hand curveball that struck out Vargas, looking to end the 1st.
And again upstairs. And Gallardo wastes Dozier's leadoff double. It's still 6-2.
Cruz knocking in 2 in the 1st inning, gave the Mariners a early 2-0 lead, but Joe Mauer driving in a couple with a 2-run double. And in the 2nd inning, Haniger hitting a ball. Scored a couple runs, a 2-run double. They had a 4-run 2nd inning. And you look at that inning, and I look at the numbers, and in the first 2 innings, Mejia's faced 14 batters, strike one on 4 of them. He's got a, last inning, he faced 4 batters, 3 of the 4 he got strike one. So he had a better inning. So get strike one.
But see, he knows that. I mean, he knows that. Yeah. You see a game like the game Irvin Santana pitched the other day when he was, what, 31 batters?
27 out of 31.
And look at the end result.
Well, yeah, it's easier said than done. And I know the games that I pitched, that's the first thing I looked at after a ball game. How many first pitch strikes? And if I didn't have that many, I probably didn't last too long.
2-1.
It's a simple thing, but sometimes hard to do.
Gamble, Haniger, and Cano in the Seattle 4th inning. Twins down by 4, but this is just the 4th inning. Tapped foul. 2-2. And tonight's State Farm combination, a pair of Mariner rookies, Ben Gamble and Guillermo Heredia, both contributing to a team that's fighting desperately to get above and stay above the 500 mark.
Yeah, Gamble came up a little bit with Seattle last year when he got traded over from the Yankees, but now he's putting together a very solid year.
And another base hit. A walk, a run scored in the first, a single, a run scored in the second, now a leadoff single in the 4th. Haniger, was hurt, but he's hitting .325 as a rookie, less than 100 at bats.
Well, we've seen a lot of these right here. 8 hits for the Mariners. Watch the location of the hit. Not too many pitches down.
Haniger has scored a couple of runs, reached on a Mejia error, then he doubled, and there's strike one. Twins had Alex Wimmers warming up in the 2nd inning, and Mejia was sent out for the 3rd, faced just 4 men. Now a leadoff single here in the 4th. 1-1.
Showed you that Hanigan was a #1 pick, 38th overall in the 2012 draft by the Milwaukee Brewers. And he went to Arizona and then traded over from Arizona to Seattle over the winter. Came over in the Segura trade. Good minor league numbers, a .290 career hitter in the minor leagues.
One and one to Haniger. The outside corner, 1-2.
With Bryce Lewis, signing as Haniger did, takes 6 years, 5-6 years to come up. That's what you were talking about earlier. Very seldom do you see somebody come up within the first year or 2.
Outside, 2-2.
Yeah, changeup just missing right there.
Lewis, by the way, and Hunter Green, good friends. Played a lot of baseball together. And Green went #2 to the Cincinnati Reds. So, Southern California high school baseball showing off a little bit today with #1 and #2 picks coming out of that hotbed. 2-2. And a base hit to left, a pulled base hit. And now juggled by Grossman, and he fires to 3rd, and that will allow the runner to go to 2nd. So an error will be charged on Grossman to allow both the runner, the front runner, to gain 3rd base and Haniger to go to 2nd.
Yeah, 2nd error of the ball game for the Twins, who have almost been flawless all season long. For Grossman, his 2nd error. So Haniger reaching down on a breaking ball and lining it in the left. The ball came up a little bit more than Grossman thought. Got away from him. Gamble rounding 2nd, seeing that. He hustles over to third.
Infield in now with the Mariners already up by 4, second and third, nobody out. 2 singles. The error certainly didn't help, but now Cano up. He singled up the middle, drove in a run his last time up. On the outside corner. Alex Wimmer's warming up again. 9 hits against Mejia, and he's only got 9 outs. Check swing. Nope. 1-1.
Seattle has a good hitting ball club. They come into this ball game hitting .260 as a ball club. That's 4th best in the American League. You have Houston, the Yankees, Boston, and then Seattle.
Fouled away, 1-2. Mariners couple games below 500, the Twins 5 games above. But you can imagine a world out there where the Mariners get their act together and the Twins maintain things, and you could see these two teams potentially competing for a wild card spot or maybe playing one another in a wild card game. Mariners haven't gotten much from Felix Hernandez or Iwakuma in the pitching department. The lineup has been swinging it awfully well over the last couple of weeks, and again here tonight.
A good running fastball in and a big strikeout for Mejia. He picks up his 4th strikeout.
2 more men in scoring position now for
they're going to walk him. Yep.
Cruz will be walked. And now Kyle Seager will bat with the bases loaded. Seager with a fly to center and a strikeout.
Good running fastball. You see a little movement right there. Cano, a strikeout victim.
He could use something good to happen to him, like a ground ball hit at somebody. But the ground balls have been hit sharply. Most of the damage has been done on line drives.
I got only 1 ground ball out, and that's the ball that Haniger hit to Mejia that he threw away at first.
Yeah. Fouled away, 1 strike. Turned into a pleasant night here. We had rain pretty much all afternoon long here. Neither team took batting practice on the field. You never know it based on the Mariner at bats. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Just struck out Cano, intentionally walked Cruz. Now another left-handed batter, Seager, in an 0-2 hole.
See if they go another fastball.
Dribble to the right side. 1. Safe at first. Seager just barely beat it out. And another run comes in.
Well, Seager will pick up an RBI, his 36, on a bang-bang play at first base. Kind of reached out on that slider, so not hit real sharp. Dozier has to come in, big backhand flip over to shortstop, and then the relay throw.
And that's going to be the end of the day for Adalberto Mejia.
Game slipping away from the Twins and from Mejia. It's now 7-2 with runners on the corners and 2 down, and Alex Wimmers will pitch next for the Twins. It's the 117th U.S. Open beginning Thursday on Fox FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Alex Wimmers was drafted #1 by the Twins in 2010. And Mejia getting some encouragement from Chris Jimenez, but a rough outing. In fact, since his recall, Mejia's roughest outing.
Yep. Well, you're going to have those, and another learning experience, just making his 8th major league start. Alex Wimmers, 28 years old. Took him a while. He had some injuries to get to the big leagues. He came up last year, appeared in 16 games out of the bullpen.
That's almost the definition of a small sample size there, but you see a good opponent batting average. And the ability of the Twins hope for Wimmers to pitch a couple innings here and keep this game within reach at 7-2 just in the 4th inning. The batters, Danny Valencia, up ball 1.
Yeah, Wimmers has a very good changeup, pretty good control of that fastball. Mixing a hard breaking ball.
Haniger's at 3rd and Seager's at 1st. Two and 0 now.
2 changeups in a row. Wimmers out of Ohio State when he got drafted by the Twins.
And a strike.
Fastball at 91.
Since Wimmers, the Twins have drafted pitchers. Cole Stewart, he's on the AA roster, struggling with his control and presumably healthy now. Pitch inside 3-1.
Well, Wimmers went through elbow surgery too.
And some bout of control issues too for Wimmers. And then Tyler Jay, who was drafted #1 just 2 years ago, left-handed pitcher. The Twins converted him to a reliever, hoping that might get him on the fast track, and he's been hurt and has pitched just 2 innings this year. 3-1. Wimmers to Valencia with 2 down. Now 3-2.
Good pitch down there.
Since the Twins left Seattle, as they went to San Francisco and took 2 out of 3, the Mariners lost 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. Now leading tonight 7-2. On the ground and past Adrianza. Haniger will score. It's 8-2, and they better hurry and get the ball in. Grossman got it in, but the runner at first, Seager, went into third hard.
Well, Valencia picking up an RBI, his 31st of the year on his first hit.
Coming up Tuesday, it's University of St. Thomas night at Target Field. Now that's not tomorrow, that's a week from Tuesday. Limited number of St. Thomas theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and a purple and gray Twins cap. You can learn more at twinsbaseball.com/St. Thomas. Valencia with a run batted in. And the Mariners get 2 more here in the 4th. All the runs charged, of course, to Mejia. And another ground ball under the glove of Adrianza. Seager scores. Valencia to third. And the Mariners have a 2-run inning, a 4-run inning, and so far here in the 4th, a 3-run inning. And that'll complete the log for Mejia, and it's not a pretty one.
Nino fastball, taking it back toward the middle. Adrianza unable to knock it down. And puts runners at first and third again.
Heredia with a single, a run scored, and a strikeout. Down and away, ball 1. So much focus on today's draft, but Thad Levine and Derek Falvey trying to, figure out what to do with the roster move today and debating which way to go with Polanco coming off the bereavement list. Well, do you keep a pitcher? You got a lot of games coming up. Doubleheader coming up on Saturday. Another doubleheader coming up in Kansas City on the next road trip. Well, the Twins decided, well, let's try to get by with just 12 pitchers, and wouldn't you know it, the first game after that decision's made, starter only goes 3 and a third innings.
3 2/3.
3 2/3,
yep.
Jeff.
Trying to get the final out here in the 4th.
2-0 to Heredia. Popped up, should take care of matters. Dozier behind the second base bag, and now Adrianza makes the catch. The Mariners score 3 more. They leave 2, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Presented by State Farm. Combine auto and renters and see how much you can save. All Mariners early on. Well, that's not entirely true. Twins tied the game at 2.
Yes,
Had a chance to score a run on the 3rd, but they didn't get it done. Now Seattle has a 9-2 lead. Kepler, Vargas, and Castro will face Giovanni Gallardo. Over the inside corner. And out in front of the breaking ball, 0-2. Gallardo's been given obviously ample run support here, but other than that rough start, all that really was a pop fly double by Dozier and a walk, and then Mauer cracked a solid double. Since then he's been stingy. Popped up weakly. And Seager cuts across, makes the catch, 1 away. And it'll bring up Vargas.
Well, he's pitched a lot, Gallardo. You know, he knows what to do with this lead. This is his 280th major league start. He has 110 wins, 89 losses, an ERA under 4. Most of those innings he's pitched, about almost 1,700 innings at the big leagues with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Vargas called out on strikes to end the first inning. Flip foul over the end of the Mariner dugout. So what this means is, with Vargas surviving the roster move today, Twins have the starting 9 and bench players tonight: Escobar, Polanco, Rosario, and Jimenez. And it makes all the sense in the world to not play Polanco first day back. He, for one thing, has had an awful lot of travel. He's had the emotions of losing his grandfather, who he was very close to. But then the practical matter, he hasn't been swinging a bat for a few days. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Nasty slider right there, down and in. Struck out Vargas in his first at bat on a good curveball that Vargas took. Nino wanting this fastball up.
Two and two. And inside, a cutter. And Vargas swings over, under, through it, whatever. 2 down.
Yeah, good pitch right there. Comes back with that slider and picks up his 4th strikeout.
2 away, and Jason Castro hit the ball hard into right field, but Cano was standing there waiting for it.
He had a pitch, he hit that first fastball, then he fouled it off, and a couple nasty breaking balls inside gets a strikeout.
We've talked at length about the difference in how this team plays on the road to how it plays at home. And it seems like the at-bats are not as good at home generally as they've been on the road. But the big thing is the pitching. Mejia goes 5 innings and gives the Twins a real good chance to win in Seattle, and he comes back and can't get through the 3rd inning. That's in a nutshell what's happened and why the home road record is so warped. 1-1.
Always comes back to starting pitching.
Strike called, 1-2. And it does not look as if Phil Hughes will be of any help anytime soon. Hughes made 9 starts. Two and two. Catcher's mitt on. Baseball in the glove.
Well, one thing you want when he does come back, you want him to be healthy too. That may take some time.
Foul. Just missed. Plate umpire DJ Rayburn flinched a little bit, but it's ball 3.
Yeah, that's a good pitch right there. Take a look at that little cutter. Just missed.
That's hit well to right center field. Heredia chases it. He won't get it. And it's off the wall, and Castro cracks a double with 2 down in the 5th. 4th hit for the Twins, and they've all been 2-baggers.
Well, I got a fastball down, uppercut swing. And for Castro, his 9th double of the year.
And almost hit the bullseye. The target bullseye out there.
Been swinging a good bat.
Buxton.
He had that 11-game hitting streak. Castro did, lost it yesterday, and maybe starting a new one today.
Fouled back, pitch up, and Buxton got a piece. Buxton with a couple of hits yesterday, and Byron needs a few of those multi-hit games here in this homestand to separate his batting average from the 200 mark. And now 0-2.
Gallardo with 4 strikeouts in the ball game, has 1 walk, and coming into first inning when he walked Robbie Grossman. And usually we see something, a breaking ball away. In situations like this, that ball was left up a little bit.
Here are the last 5 first-round picks the Twins have had. Buxton, I think it's fair to say, emerging. Still a lot of work to do on the offensive side, but he's here and he's going to stay here. Cole Stewart, as we said, has been hurt and has control issues this year. Nick Gordon, the top prospect in the organization, hitting over 300, splitting time between second base and short. And now it's Kirilloff, last year's pick. Tommy John surgery. This one lifted to center, and Heredia has room to make the catch and the inning, and we head to the 5th with the Mariners leading 9-2.
fans of the game. School's out of session. There's the rally monkey for the Twins. Twins continuing a pattern of playing really good baseball on the road. 6-4 road trip on the West Coast. That's pretty good. And then you come back, and so far this game's been a dud. Tyler Smith will lead things off against Alex Wimmers. Wimmers didn't start the season with the club. For that matter, didn't start the season on the 40-man roster. He had a decent spring, but wasn't brought north because he wasn't on the 40-man roster. With Nick Turley making his major league debut yesterday, remember, this is the 60th game of the year for the Twins. The Twins have already used 23 pitchers.
8 different starters.
Waiting, but not long enough. Smith now has an 0-2 count. And it is a major league wide problem. It's not just the Twins. There's a called third strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, Wilmer's picking up a strikeout of Smith. His first. Looked like it was away a little bit. Take a look at the pitch. Yep.
Now Ben Gamble, who has scored 3 runs already in the ball game, walked and scored in the first, singled and scored in the second, did the same thing in the fourth. Ball 1. The discouraging thing, I'm sure, for Derek Falvey and for Thad Levine is not just using 23 pitchers already this year, but what the names are. You know, it's not Tyler Jay. It's not Cole Stewart. Guys that were drafted #1 or other high round draft picks who have not found their way through the system with any degree of health to help up here. And so guys like Heston brought over literally in a moment's notice and brought into the organization because there hasn't been the help internally that there should be.
Well, they're getting pitchers from all over. I mean, Buddy Boucher's independent baseball.
Right.
Our closer, Kinsler, out of independent baseball. Right. So you don't know. It's a roll of the dice again. You know, when your draft picks, you just don't know.
Well, a few years ago, Houston had the #1 overall pick and the consensus pick. I mean, everybody thought Mark Appel was going to be the guy. He was a Mark Pryor type, you know, big guy, big frame, power pitcher. Well, the Astros traded him to the Phillies, and he's on the AAA roster for the Phillies, and he's 4-2 with an ERA of 5.65.
Oh, Kerry Wood, you think of all these guys. Pryor himself broke down.
1-0 the count with Gamble reaching on a walk. Haniger has also scored 3 runs today. Breaking ball and a good one. We've talked about it, but you know, give me your theory. Why is it that throughout baseball, as you look at the top 5 picks today, McKay, Wright also mentioned in relationship to the Twins, considering taking them with the #1 overall pick.
Well, something's not right in the minor leagues. I'm telling you that. It's not only this system, though. A lot of systems. These kids come out of high school or college. Maybe they've been abused. I don't know, but there's got to be more teaching in the minor leagues.
Abused, just to clarify, abused
meaning overthrowing
right,
and things
right.
like that. Yes. So something has to happen in the minor leagues to get these kids to have good fundamentals. The art of visualization, the focus, throwing the baseball, hitting the corners, pitching at a young age. Too many guys throw. Has a good pitch right there by Wilmers. Picks up his second strikeout.
2-2, or 2 outs rather. And Cano will bat.
Well, DJ Rayburn behind the plate saying, you know what, you guys have scored enough runs.
Here's Cano.
And believe me, if you're out there and you see that, I know Castro sees this. You know, if they're going to give you 2 or 3 inches outside, get back out there again.
Gamble checked at first. Can I offer a theory that I have about why pitchers everywhere are breaking down?
Sure.
And it's from someone who doesn't know anything about pitching. But I always look at a situation like that and say, well, what's changed? What has changed? Why are young pitchers in the prime of their athletic life breaking down so regularly? And one thing that's changed is the radar gun. And you've got guys out here on the mound, and it goes through college and even into high school, and they're trying to light up the gun. And every pitch is max effort. And I remember a guy, you've given him a lot of credit for your career, Jim Perry. Jim Perry was not a max effort guy on every pitch.
Catfish Hunter.
Right.
You can go on and on about the guys that are in the Hall of Fame. Why? Because they learn how to pitch. Ferguson Jenkins.
Yeah, another one.
You know?
If he needed to reach back for a little extra, he'd do it, but he didn't max out on every delivery.
Bob Gibson was that way. All of these guys. But, you know, that's why only 1% ever get to the Hall of Fame. It's these kids that you are grooming to get to the big leagues. That's what I'm looking at. There's something wrong in the minor league system that's not working. And I'm only talking about the Twins minor league system. They need better quality coaches down there.
2 strikes to Cano. And pounded foul.
But you also have to, there's a lot of former players that know a lot about pitching, but they're not going to go down to the minor leagues for $30,000 or $40,000 and be away from their family. You know, baseball has to look. They can pay somebody $5, $6, $7 million to sign, and then they're going to send them to a coach that's just happy to be there. I'm sorry.
2 strikes to Cano.
They need guys with big league experience down there that have been through the good times and the bad times of how to pitch at the big league level. But baseball won't pay that.
Popped up and out of play. Wimmer's trying to eat up some innings here. He had to face 3 men to get out of the 4th. He's facing his 4th batter here in the 5th.
And I'm saying it starts, Dick, in instructional league. It starts in low A ball. It's got to start there. And then those kids work their way up. And they don't throw enough, in my opinion. They pitch every 5 or 6 days down there. If they pitch 5 innings, they throw 150 in the minor leagues innings. They shut them down.
Right off the end of the back,
You know,
Cano
I
stays
remember
alive.
1969, we had a manager, Fred Waters, in rookie ball. And there must have been 30 of us sitting in this room. And he was a cusser, so every other word was a cuss word. And he said, you guys would be lucky if there's 2 guys in this room that ever get to the big leagues. So of course you sit there and you look around and say, I wonder who the other guy is. And it was Jim Hughes and I were the only, Bluegill Hughes were the only 2 out of that team in Sarasota that made it to the big leagues.
A fly ball to left, hit right at Grossman. And that wraps up the top of the 5th. The Mariners lead it 9-2.
group right here because the Minnesota State Lottery has put them in the winner's circle. 100 scratch-off tickets for this lovely lady, Lucy, right next to me. Love the sign. She's in shackles. She wants to be circled so much. And she loves Joe Mauer. She's got the heart right there. Lucy, he was drafted first overall back in 2001. That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And why do you love Joe Mauer so much?
Because he can hit.
Because he can hit, and guess what? You're getting circled by a guy that can really pitch. The Hall of Famer Bird Blyleven and 100 scratch-off tickets for Lucy from Minneapolis and the group of 50 here having a great time at the ballpark.
Kevin, great find. Please tell Lucy that we love her and tell her thank you for being a Twins fan. You are hereby circled, young lady.
You gonna make it through the game here? I know your voice is struggling.
I got a little bit of a cold I got in San Francisco.
Okay. Well,
I blame it on San Francisco.
You got plenty of rest. It's the damp air there, right?
It's damp air, yes.
It had nothing to do with the hours you kept.
Oh, no. I took care of those.
Okay.
A 3-hour sleep is really good.
That's, I heard it first from Jim Cott. It's been said in baseball a long time. Sleep in November, right?
That's right.
Long run and a catch made in foul territory by Ben Gamble. 1 down.
Well, you know what? I was lucky when I signed in 1969, only a couple of years ago. I got a big bonus of $15,000. And half of my bonus went to a car that looks just like that. 1970 Dodge Challenger.
Wow. How big was the engine? It had to be a big V8 in there that gave you about 11 miles to the gallon, right?
Yeah. I drove that to spring training in 1970. I bought it during the winter. I gave the other half of my bonus to my mommy and daddy. But that wasn't that expensive down there. And try to buy that thing now. See what you can get away. I wish I still had it.
So you paid.
What was your first car?
It was a 1962 Chevy. Bought it at a used car lot in Staples, Minnesota, and the dealer told me he was pretty sure it was just 34,000 miles. It was not, he didn't think, 134,000 miles on the odometer. It's a 10-year-old car.
I don't know. Are you sure that's your first car?
Ball hit to right center field. Dozier's got another opposite field hit. 3 hits, and they've all gone to the right side of second base.
Are you sure that that was your first car?
The 1962. That is not it. I did not ever drive any. What is that? A Maverick or something? What is that? The Challenger station wagon. No.
Are you sure that's not yours?
I did not. No.
Now that was your first car. That was after with my big bonus I signed with.
That cost you $7,500.
No. It only cost me maybe $3,000-4,000 at that time.
Okay. Well, I want the rest of the money accounted for. You said you gave half of it to your parents.
Well, if we got to realize Uncle Sam's going to get in there, there's the rest of it. They just don't give you $15,000. They take taxes.
Okay. All right.
My first car was a 1956. I don't even know what the heck it was. It was a Mercury.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tank. I delivered papers in it. Drove it till the transmission blew.
Okay.
$150 I paid. What a deal.
Grossman with a walk and a run scored. He fouled out in the 3rd. Missed inside, and it's 1-2. Close pitch. Twins with just 5 hits. Brian Dozier's got 3 of them. Mauer's got 1. Castro's got 1. Aerno walked 1 man. That was Grossman in the 1st inning. Right back to the pitcher. And it's a double play. Dozier gets another hit, but Gallardo faces just 3 men in the inning, and it's still 9-2. Probably the 10th or 12th time this year. Bryce Harper, 16th home run of the year. He was a #1 overall pick 7 years ago. Nationals had back-to-back #1 overall picks. They got Strasburg the first year and Harper the next.
Yeah, they got two good ones.
We've got decent weather here, but a rather indecent score. Wimmer's doing what he can here. He's gotten 4 outs. Cruz lifts it foul back and into the press box. Mike Berardino of the St. Paul paper picked it up off the floor. No one caught it.
And he threw it back to a young lady, a fan. Very nice.
And now 2 strikes.
Now Wilmers came in and gave a pitch to the first 2 batters he faced, but now he's retired 5 straight, couple strikeouts. Cruz with 3 of the runs batted in of the 9 runs for the Mariners.
And another foul ball. Now any team is going to have a short start like this from time to time, but which can't have more than one through a turn in the rotation. So it'll be incumbent upon Mr. Gibson and Irvin Santana, Jose Barrios to make sure that they do their job and eat up some innings here and pitch well. Where the Twins have had some trouble is when it was a common thing last year. One short start succeeding another one in short order, and then your bullpen gets wiped out. You end up with 13 pitchers, and that's not enough. Two strikes to Cruz, leading off the 6th. To the backstop.
Just a bit outside. Well, we saw DJ Rayburn give that pitch away. I don't think he'll give it that far away. Yeah, Twins have had some ugly games this year. 6 times they've allowed 13 or more runs in a ballgame. 6 times.
A lot of that has fallen on the bullpen, but in this instance it was Mejia's undoing early on that made it a lopsided score to this point. 1-2. And another foul back.
Mejia, you know, he walks the leadoff hitter, then he throws that ball down the right field line and kind of opened up the door, and then Grossman made a mistake out in left field. For the Twins, still, it's not the defense. Believe me, it's been the pitching. Just inconsistent. Other than maybe a couple guys. You know, of course, Santana and Barrios.
And now a marathon plate appearance here for Cruz against Wimmers, and it's 2-2. We might see Polanco in the lineup tomorrow. Gibson on the mound. Might see Eddie Rosario in the lineup tomorrow.
Gibson's coming off a good start in his last start.
And another foul ball. See pitchers that have breaking balls and they go north to south, they go east to west, and in Wimmer's case that changeup, it's kind of a back and forth game he plays with hitters. And so far Cruz has been hanging tough.
Yeah, Cruz with that open stance, and then when that ball is delivered he'll bring that left leg toward the pitcher.
I think he went. No. Sam Holbrook said he didn't go.
Sam Holbrook, the crew chief. All 4 umpires will be behind the plate.
Yeah, I'll give him a check on that. Cruz with 298 major league home runs. And 10 pitches in this plate appearance. Wimmers is hardly stretched out to pitch 4 innings anyway, is having a terrible time disposing of Cruz.
And a little smirk by Wimmers.
Yeah, would you just please pop it up? It's pitch number 11 in this at bat coming up. 11 so far. This is number 12 then.
Ooh. They're good. So let's do the math. The count's 2-2, or excuse me, it's 3-2. At 11 pitches, what? It'd be 6 two-strike fouls, 7 two-strike fouls. An exhausting plate appearance to start this 6th inning. I'm exhausted. I've been sitting down through the entire at bat. And there's ball 4.
Well, he tried everything. He said, why not try a breaking ball? And he just missed it down and away. First walk for Wimmers.
And now Kyle Seager will bat.
And let's see all 12 or 20 or whatever the pitch was all at one time. I like that.
There are a lot of reasons why I couldn't hit in high school. And one of them was that. It looked like the ball was, there were like 9 of them coming at me.
Dozier out there, Castro out there, just getting a little breather.
And Twins are getting somebody warming up out the bullpen. Trying to buy a little time here. Buddy Boshears is warming up. Join us Thursday, July 20th for the 1987 Summer Celebration at Target Field. You can enjoy an evening on the field with members of the 1987 Twins, including Bert Blyleven and Frank Viola, Tim Laudner, Ken Herbeck, Steve Lombardozzi, Roy Smalley, Dan Gladden, Tom Kelly, and more. The evening will feature interactive games, silent auction program, what I'm sure is going to be a great dinner, and more. And to learn more and get your tickets, visit twinsbaseball.com/summer celebration.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun for us to reunite.
And face it, it's been 30 years. Reintroduce yourself to your former teammates, because that's
we'll have name tags.
It's been a long time ago.
We'll put name tags on.
Yeah. Hair color has changed.
Do you think?
Body silhouettes.
I want to see what
changed.
Keith Atherton looks like.
0-2 to Seager.
Good changeup right there. Seager, the only one in the lineup that has not had a hit yet. 11 hits for the Mariners.
Two strikes. And now he's got a hit. Liner to right field. And Cruz getting to third base. Remember, it was a play similar to that in the opening game in Seattle. And Cruz pulled up lame into third base, ended up leaving the ball game, and we never saw him again in that series. Here he hustled hard from first to third. And that'll be the end of the night for Alex Wimmers. Cruz drawing a long, exhausting walk, and then Seager with a base hit. Wimmers goes through the lineup one time and gives up 3 hits and 2 walks. And Boshears will pitch next. overall pick, a guy by the name of Brent Rooker, an outfielder from Mississippi State. And the Twins also have another pick coming up at 37. Great offensive numbers at Mississippi State. Sam Carlson was available, the local pitching prospect.
Well, Buddy Boucher's coming into the ball game, making his 7th relief appearance. He worked a shutout inning in yesterday's loss to the Giants. With a total of 9 innings, given up only 5 hits with 7 strikeouts, only a couple walks.
First and third, nobody out. Valencia, the batter, hit a hard ground ball single up the middle, scoring a run in the 4th inning. Mariners got 2 in the first, 4 in the second, and then 3 more in the 4th. 1 strike to Valencia. To right field. Kepler deep in the corner, deep enough to score a cruise, a sacrifice fly, and another double-digit runs allowed game for the Twins.
Well, Valencia picking up his 2nd RBI of the ball game on that sacrifice fly.
1 down, runner at first, and now Zunino.
And that run charge to Alex Wimmers. Yeah, Buddy Boucher's 28 years old. He was signed by the Angels 8th round, excuse me, in 2008 in the 4th round.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, I noticed it in Seattle, Dick. Mike Zunino, I know, spending a lot of time with their hitting coach Edgar Martinez, because I swear when I see Zunino up there, the way he puts that bat up over his helmet and moves it a little bit, that's Edgar's swing. And here's a guy that was a #1 pick by Seattle, and it's taken him a while to find it.
Oh, we saw it the other day. When we got to Seattle, we were told that Zunino's starting to figure out that it's worth using the whole field. And his biggest hit, of course, was the home run to right center against Brandon Kintzler.
That's Edgar right there. He takes a call 3rd strike, which Martinez didn't too often.
And late in Edgar's career, his hitting coach with the Mariners is the current Twins manager. And to forget that Paul Molitor for a year was the batting coach with the Mariners.
That guy's in a Hall of Fame. Edgar Martinez, maybe one day himself. Good fastball right there by Boucher's. Almost 2,300 hits. Won a couple batting titles. All-Star. I think what's going to hurt him, and it has, like Harold Baines, writers have not put in designated hitters.
Yeah.
You know, until David Ortiz goes in, then maybe it'll open the door for some of these other guys.
Related the story last year when I talked with Edgar about the early years in his career, and he said, yeah, it took him 3 years of going back and forth to the minor leagues, that in that 4th year he finally was up for a full season and figured some things out. Sometimes even the very best hitters, it just takes some time. 0-2. Boucher's trying to wrap things up here in the 6th, and a tapper foul. In those fractured years where he spent time between Calgary and Seattle, he got 43 at bats in the big leagues. The next year he got 32 at bats, and the next year after that he got 171, and then he was in the big leagues to stay.
It's 17 years, I believe. He wore a Seattle Mariners. They're going to be retiring his number later this summer. It'll only be the 2nd one. Ken Griffey Jr. on him, along with Jackie Robinson.
Grossman in left makes the catch. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. one selling brand in the Twin Cities. (10-2). Mariners took control of this game early. An early exit for Alberto Mejia. I'm sorry. And Joe Mauer will lead off the bottom of the 6th. Mauer, Sano, and Kepler against Gallardo, who looks like he's going to pitch deep into the ball game for the second time in as many starts against the Twins.
Well, he had 78 pitches after 4 innings, but then he had the 5th inning where he used only 10 pitches. He got that double play turn behind him that he started. That was the 8th double play turn behind him this season, and this is his 13th start.
The Indians, the closest pursuer to the Twins, idle today. And when the Twins finish this game, they will be even with the Indians in the number of games played, 60 apiece. And seeing a lot of the Mariners now, having just played the 3 games in Seattle and now 4 here. Mauer with a tapper to short. Smith to first, 1 away. We'll get into a stretch here where we'll see an awful lot of the Indians back-to-back weekends. After the Mariners leave town, the Indians are here for what was a 3-game series, but now it's 4 with the rain out earlier. And then 3 more the following weekend in Cleveland. And Sano hopes to continue to pad his stats for what he hopes will be an all-star appearance in Miami.
Yeah, what's impressed me, we talked about offense, but the defense. You know, definitely got the power. Sano with 15 home runs.
Be curious to see how many votes Mauer gets. He has had a good year. 1 for 3 today. The average reasonably could sit right around 300 by the All-Star break. You can vote today, you can vote tomorrow, and vote Twins for your 2017 All-Stars with the Esurance MLB All-Star ballot. Vote at twinsbaseball.com/vote. Catch all the excitement of the 88th MLB All-Star Game presented by MasterCard July 11th live on Fox. Hot ground ball picked up by Seager. And 2 down. Now you said you're going to the game and you're just going to go and.
No, I got tickets.
Right. So you're just going to go sit and watch the game. You're not.
Right. Not too often Gale and I get to go and watch an all-star game together, so looking forward to that. Sano hit this ball sharply, but comes up nicely for Seager. You see his glove, how it kind of moved around. Ball hit hard enough to help break in that glove.
Yesterday before the game, I went down to the Giants clubhouse. I related how I talked for a few minutes with Willie Mays, listened to Mr. Mays more accurately, but Barry Bonds was in the clubhouse, and the first thing I thought of was Torrey Hunter's catch against Bonds in a home run bid in Milwaukee. This one off the end of the bat. Now he may try for a double here. He's going to dig for second, and Kepler has hit some balls hard for outs, and now he's rewarded with just a little chip shot, and the Twins get another hit and another double.
Yeah, for Kepler, good hustle, just kind of inside outer net. Picks up his 14th double. So still. And almost slapped that ball the other way.
Kenny Vargas will bat. A couple of strikeouts for Vargas. Not drafted, signed as a free agent from Puerto Rico. Ball 1.
Gallardo really working Vargas inside. Struck him out on a curveball, then struck him out on a slider in the 4th inning. Curveball in the 1st. See Zunino sitting inside again.
And Cano can't get it. It'll drop into right field, and it'll score Kepler. And the Twins get a couple of 2-out hits to inch closer at 10-3.
It's almost like Vargas went up there and said, okay, the first 2 times they were busting me and I'm going to open up a little bit, and that's exactly what he did right there. Gallardo did not get that ball in far enough, left it out over the plate. Good swing by Vargas as Kepler scores. And Vargas picks up his 22nd run batted in.
Here's Jason Castro. Doubled off the fence in right center field his first time up. Fouled away.
Pitch number 100 coming in toward home plate.
And it's a strike. Presumably after the 6th inning, Gallardo will lead to a bullpen that's been really, really good.
Yeah, first inning you see the 27. Other than that, not bad.
Pounded foul.
Gallardo out of Mexico, moved to Texas at a very young age. Second round pick by the Milwaukee Brewers back in 2004.
And Castro chases to end the inning. Couple of 2-out hits get the Twins 1 run closer, but they're still down by 7.
Well, Nelson Cruz in the first inning, a 2-run single gave the Mariners a early 2-0 lead, but in the bottom of the inning, Joe Mauer, a 2-run double, tied it at 2 apiece. But it was the second inning where the Mariners exploded for 4 runs in that ball game to open it up. 6-4. Zunino with an RBI single. Every starter for the Mariners have at least 1 hit.
A lot of smiles in the Mariner dugout. They're playing really good baseball. They know it. They're having fun. Gallardo's had some fun tonight thanks to some run support.
You know what they did as a team flying over here, and it started like almost 2 or 3 weeks ago. They want to do a theme type of road trip. And they got together with Scott Service, the manager, and some players, and they said, what do we do? And somebody said, well, we're going to Minnesota. They're the Twins. So they went out and got costumes, and I think if you follow it on Facebook or whatever, you'll see these costumes. They picked names out of a hat, so 2 guys would dress up the same way. It's kind of cool. Joe Madden always did that.
Yeah.
Or he still does it. It kind of helps build that team chemistry.
Now, that's all well and good, and that's a fun way to approach a road trip, and I think everybody's on board with it. But the business now of, ridiculing rookies and making them dress up, you can't do that anymore. Not going to be able to do that anymore.
Oh, I think you can still do it. You can't dress them up a certain way.
I think it's been officially discouraged.
Oh, I think teams will still do that. Have fun with the kids. It just brings the guys unity, brings them together.
2-1 to Tyler Smith.
I think you saw it with Joe Madden in Tampa Bay. They didn't have a first base ball club, but he helped make them a first base ball club. Got them into the World Series one year.
Smith with a bleeder to left, a leadoff single against Bo Shears. Meanwhile, there are 9 outs to get, and we mentioned that the Twins have already used 23 pitchers this year. One of them is Chris Jimenez, and it's getting to be kind of the time of the game where you're trying to figure out where you're going to get 9 outs. Twins have an off day on Monday, but there's a lot of baseball to be played. You don't want to tire out your bullpen for what a game as soon as tomorrow, where you might need the likes of Duffy and Rogers, pitchers like that.
Well, Buddy Bo Shears came in, got the 3 guys he had to get out the last inning, and just gives up a base hit here.
The one thing that might keep Jimenez from pitching in a game like tonight is the fact that Irvin Santana gave the entire bullpen a day off in San Francisco by pitching his shutout. 1-0 to Gamble, who's reached 4 times. Strike 1-1. Chopper right side. Dozier flips. They'll only get 1. And Gamble's on base for the 5th time, this time on a fielder's choice. Landon Leach picked by the Twins, 37th overall from Pickering High School, a right-handed pitcher. So Royce Lewis, Brent Rooker, Mississippi State, Landon Leach, and I looked it up. Brent Rooker, if he is any relation to Jim Rooker, isn't claiming it. So you pitched with Jim Rooker, didn't you, in Pittsburgh?
Sure did, yeah. Good left-handed pitcher. He could hit too.
Haniger, the batter for Seattle.
He's part of our 1979 We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates.
To center, Buxton coming in. He'll play it on a hop. And the Mariners might be tired tomorrow night. They're getting a lot of hits, spending a lot of time on the bases, and they're circling the bases. They have already 10 times.
Haniger picking up his 3rd hit, so he's making up for lost time since coming off the disabled list. That right oblique strain. Came into the ball game hitting .325.
By season's end, there might be some incredible rookie seasons put together. You mentioned we showed you the Seattle rookie class and what they're doing. Aaron Judge, if he hasn't clinched the award already, he's well on his way to doing that. Benintendi looks like he's going to be a great player for the Red Sox. Here's Robinson Cano, 1 for 4.
Yeah, it's good for the game of baseball when these young guys get an opportunity and they're doing well.
Dribbler right side. And Bo Shears with a nice fielding play. Gets the out at first. Everybody moves up a base. 2nd and 3rd, 2 down for Nelson Cruz, and another RBI spot for him. We'll see if the Twins pitch to him.
I'll give him 4. A left-handed hitter on deck, and Kyle Seager.
Huh. They're going to pitch to him. I don't know whether this has any bearing on why the Twins would pitch to him, but Paul Molitor, I know it still bothers him. In a game like this, he was playing for the Twins and he had a chance to hit for the cycle in Texas. The Twins had a big lead, and in a similar situation, the Texas manager at the time, I think Paul needed a single. All he needed was a single to hit for the cycle. In a similar situation, the Texas manager intentionally walked him. So whether that's any background into why they aren't filling first base with an intentional walk, I don't know.
Well, Buddy Boshear's right here. I think he will pitch him very carefully. If he walks him, he walks him. Falling behind 2-0.
Cruz has driven in 3 runs, was intentionally walked in the 4th, and then led off the 6th with that long walk facing Wimmers. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-1.
Good changeup right there. Had some movement on it.
Craig Breslow's getting loose out in the bullpen. 2 out there in scoring position for Cruz. 2-1 count. 3-1. Seager on deck. Chopper to short. And Adrianza sets his feet, fires, and ends the inning. A couple of hits, no more run damage. 10-3, the Mariners are in front. And you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
We saw in Seattle the Mariners run out a sequence of hard-throwing relief pitchers, and Tony Zick is the first guy getting the call. Look at those numbers. 17 in the 3rd innings. 14 strikeouts, 8 walks. That's a little high, but an opponent batting average of .226.
Yeah, Zick with a good fastball in the upper 90s, hard slider. He's in his 3rd season with the Mariners. List him at 6'3", about 200. 26-year-old.
And Byron Buxton will be the first guy he faces, then Adrianza and Dozier.
So there are some other draft notes since we've talked about Buxton being a high draft pick. Tigers' first draft pick was a young player by the name of Alex Faedo. And he is the son of former Twin shortstop Lenny Faedo, who was a #1 draft pick back in 1978, I guess it was. Chopper to short. High hop for Smith. Buxton retired. He's 0 for 3. Having put the ball in play 3 times, 1 down.
Now, is he a pitcher?
No.
Position player.
Pitcher, I believe.
Oh, okay. So he is a pitcher.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the question? I thought the natural question would be, was he a shortstop? And I didn't hear it correctly.
Well, we figured the Tigers, they maybe need some pitching too.
Yes. And I'm sorry, Alex Faedo, his uncle was Lenny Faedo. Nice pickup by Cano, so smooth over there, and Adrian's is quickly retired, 2 down. Well, now Brian Dozier, who has 3 hits, is Knight about the only silver lining here tonight. Not just 3 hits, but all 3 hits to the right side of second base. Down and away on the black.
Well, you see throughout the first 60 games or 59 games where he's hit it, those 3 tonight to right field. So that's nice to see what Brian's done tonight.
Consistently pitched away, and now he's hitting the ball a couple times, or at least once, with authority. Pop back and out of play, 1-2. Two down. Twins got a couple of 2-out hits in the 6th to get a run closer. Blocked by Zunino. 2-2.
Zick, 26 years old.
Grossman on deck, hoping for a chance here in the 7th with maybe Dozier aboard. 2-2 to Dozier. Pulled to third. Seager has an easy play on target, and a 1-2-3 7th for Zick. take a teenager from Southern California who likes to play shortstop, and they did. It wasn't Hunter Green, it was Royce Lewis, the #1 overall pick, 18 years old, and we get his scouting report from Mike Radcliffe.
Royce is one of the elite athletes and makeup and tangible packages available in any draft. We see this guy as an impact player on both sides of the ball. But he also has a unique ability to impact the clubhouse, the locker room, and the community. This guy gets it. He's got that it factor that a #1 pick needs to survive and move forward and have success at the end of the journey. He checked all the boxes for us. We're real excited.
That's nice to hear. Very nice to hear. You hope the young man develops the way that the Twins are hoping he will. Craig Breslow coming into the ball game. He had one of those ugly innings yesterday. Worked 1 inning, gave up 5 runs, all earned, to the San Francisco Giants in the loss yesterday, where the Twins lost 13-8.
Well, the way the Twins came back, those 5 runs obviously meant an awful lot. Grossman still in the game in left field, and Kyle Seager, the batter, as we begin play here in the 8th inning. Seager, Valencia, and Zunino in the 8th. And now inside 2-0 because he pitched yesterday. We don't know that Breslow necessarily would be asked to pitch 2 innings here. And we'll see what that man has in store for the 9th inning. Now, if he has a quick inning, then maybe he's got a better shot at trying to finish the game. 2-1. And 2-2.
Breslow's been around the game a long time. He signed with Milwaukee back in 2002. 26th round of the 2002 draft.
Full count. Valencia on deck. Lifted to left, and Grossman towards the line. It's a running catch in fair territory, 1 away. Target Field has become the top choice for families throughout Twins territory, celebrating all kinds of special occasions. You can schedule your special event in a fully catered Target Field suite available for groups of 16 to 150 plus. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/groups to schedule your suite at Target Field. 1 down in the 8th, and now Valencia, driven in runs in each of his last 2 plate appearances. Let's have a pull shift in the infield for Valencia. Strike 1. One and one. Hit hard to left field. A scorching line drive that has left the ballpark. Valencia will round the bases. First home run hit tonight, and his 6th of the year.
That was hit very, very hard. Right over the wall. I believe it hit that the railing there, or just underneath it. So Valencia hits his 6th home run of the year.
You're saying that might have some exit velocity?
That might. Listen. Well, you won't hear it, but my goodness.
Fox Tracks presented by Carrier. Yeah, I pulled my hand away from that one too. To center, chased by Buxton. on the warning track. Back-to-back pitches. Valencia and Zunino hit back-to-back home runs.
And Zunino hitting his 5th home run of the year. And his 3rd against the Twins.
Well, Breslow had that long outing yesterday and pitched the day before. Check that, he did not pitch the day before. It was Belisle that did.
The uppercut swing right there. Ball just kept going.
Heredia takes strike 1. Another game where the Twins give up a big number, a dozen tonight.
Well, Breslow came into the ball game giving up only 1 home run, making his 24th relief appearance.
Taylor Rogers didn't pitch at all in San Francisco, so he may get the 9th inning.
Fifth time this year that Seattle's hit back-to-back home runs. 2nd time against the Twins. They did it in Seattle with Zunino and Ruiz.
One and 2. 2 and 2. Now Grossman chases this one down to make the catch out number 2. Mariners hitting the ball a long way through the air here in the 8th inning against Breslow.
Well, you see the box score for the Seattle Mariners. Everybody has at least 1 hit. With 12 runs and 16 hits total.
Two down, 2 in, and now Tyler Smith. Outside, ball 1.
Smith playing in just his 7th game for the Mariners.
Into the seats, 1-1. Mariners got 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Twins had tied it up at the bottom of the first at 2, but then 4 in the second, 3 in the fourth, 1 in the 6th, and 2 so far here in the 8th. Does that add up to 12?
Sounds like it.
Okay. Fouled back.
Smith signed by the Mariners in 2013, 8th round pick out of Oregon State.
And a strikeout ends the inning. Breslow gives up a couple of home runs and it widens the Seattle lead.
Series opener over at Target Field. I'm Anthony LaPanta inside Mall of America studio. Same two teams tomorrow night at Target Field. We have it for you here on Fox Sports North. More with Dick and Bert for the game. Of course, Tom Hanneman and Happy Jack Morris get you ready with Twins Live starting at 6:30 tomorrow night on Fox Sports North.
And the Twins obviously hoping for a better game. This is the 10th time this year where the Twins have given up more than 10 runs a game. And the margin of defeat or being behind tonight, 93 runs, almost 10.
You know what's amazing, Dick, is we have seen these ugly type games throughout the first 60 games, but Twins are still in first place.
I know that.
That's the bottom line.
These games stand out. Now they've come far too frequent. This will be the 5th time since the 29th of May that the Twins have had a blowout game like this, and they're ugly and no one enjoys them. But
except for the opposing team.
Yeah. Here's Robbie Grossman. But by comparison, Twins losing yesterday 13-8, that was a relatively close game because they gave up 13 and they scored 8. So he's had to sit through a lot of blowout games. This will be the 10th unless things remarkably change here. The 10th blowout game where the other guys have scored at least 10. Grossman walked and scored in the first. Since then, a foul out to third. And he hit into a comebacker double play. Two and one. Fly ball right field. Haniger in fair territory, gloves it, one away. Let's get a T-Mobile Unlimited baseball break. Jay Bruce hitting his 17th home run of the year for the Mets. Howie Kendrick moved back to the infield now. He's been out in the outfield. Now he's back in the infield. And gets 3 hits tonight. Yu Darvish with a good outing against the Astros. And not sure who was pitching tonight for the Astros, because I think Musgrove was just called up or off the disabled list. Maybe he got the start. Jorge Polanco getting an at bat here for Joe Mauer. Eduardo Escobar on deck. He'll hit in Sano's spot. Outside, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, Polanco making his first pinch hit performance as a right-handed hitter, hitting .218. 12 hits and 55 at bats.
Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Mauer gone 1 for 3 with a 2-run double in the first inning. Two and two. Breslow sitting in the dugout. Nobody warming up in the bullpen, but if Jimenez is asked to pitch, of course, he can be getting loose in the batting cages. Polanco strikes out 2-0. Jimenez has already pitched in 4 games this year. They've all been at home.
Take a look at the hard fastball right there at 96 miles an hour.
Jimenez back in the dugout. He disappeared for any number of reasons. My guess is Breslow will go out there, but we'll see. I just got a word that the Mariners drafted Burnsville outstanding pitcher Sam Carlson.
Good for him and good for them.
Fouled away off the bat of Escobar.
Escobar is a pinch hitter, which he's doing here. 1 hit in 5 at-bats.
One and two. Ooh. Broke around the plate, I guess. Ozos thought he had it. I thought he had it.
Seen a good fastball, the breaking ball. Yeah, it's outside.
And now 3-2. Kepler on deck. On the ground, right to Cano. And Valencia gets his uniform dirty, makes the catch. It's a 1-2-3 game.
Live presented by CenturyLink. We'll have Jack Morris take a look at Mejia and how the Mariners were able to get to him and hit him hard tonight. We'll talk about the picks being in. Minnesota with picks 1, 35, and 37. We'll take an in-depth look at those young players and the future that they have for the Minnesota Twins in this organization. And we'll hear from the manager, Paul Mauter, on the game, on the draft picks, and the rest of the series. And now it's time for our homegrown hero and hurler, Sam Carlson from my alma mater, Burnsville, just got picked, as you guys talked about it, 55th overall from the Seattle Mariners. Big, strong pitcher. Talked to his coaches. He came in a gangly freshman, worked hard on and off the field, class act, leader, and what a pitcher this guy's developed into. He was projected to be a first-round pick maybe, guys, and he fell to 55 with the Mariners, and we'll get a chance to see and maybe talk to him later this week at the ballpark. We're very proud of Sam Carlson from Burnsville.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Congratulations to him.
And presumably he throws harder than Chris Jimenez, who's pitching for the Twins now for the 5th time, just trying to eat up an inning.
Well, they probably have a scouting report on Jimenez because he pitched against them in Seattle in that 12-3 game.
See the changes
about a week ago.
That's right. That one was on the road. The other ones were all on at home here. The 5th time that a position player, and it's been the same one, has pitched for the Twins. Just down the left field line. Grossman makes the catch. And down. Hamill's got to head back to the dugout. He's been on base 5 times tonight. One down. That'll bring up Haniger.
Haniger having a good night. 3 hits. He has scored 3 times. He's knocked in a couple runs.
Ball 1. And a base hit.
A 4-hit night.
Remember when Seager faced Jimenez in Seattle, and Seager hit one out to the warning track and it was hauled in, and Jimenez gave the arm curl motion like, hey, you better hit the weight room. That's all you got. You might face Seager again here. Used to be a novelty. It's not, unfortunately.
Sad to say, no.
And again, the decision the Twins made, and I like it. I think it'll help the Twins win some ball games, but just going with 12 pitchers, not 13. But then you run the risk of having a game like this that's out of hand early. And then you have to go get your backup catcher and have him pitching it.
Well, Jimenez spent a season in Seattle back in 2011.
Popped up. Escobar's over at third base now, and just into the camera. 2-1 to Robinson Cano.
We've seen all fastballs so far by Jimenez.
To Jimenez. Makes the play, and I hope Jimenez is okay. That's the biggest fear, of course, that you're asking somebody to do what they're unaccustomed to doing, and something bad happens, an injury. Years ago, Jose Canseco was brought in, and he was just having fun with it, throwing a knuckleball, and he tore the rotator cuff in his shoulder.
Yeah, but he was an outfielder. This is a catcher here. They get beat up anyway.
That's true. Haniger to second. And here is Nelson Cruz. Floats over the outside corner, strike 1. Given the situations that Cruz has been in at the plate tonight, it's amazing he only has 3 runs batted in. Every time he comes up, there's at least one guy in scoring position, including here in the 9th. Now the Twins have walked him twice. He was up in the 7th inning, 2 on, 2 out, and the runners were at second and third, and he hit a ground ball to short. Popped up and backing out of play. Steve Cishek warmed up. Looks like he'll get the 9th inning.
Well, Jimenez looking for his first strikeout.
.63 miles per hour. called back again. High fly right center field. And off the very top of the scoreboard. Cruz has driven in a run. No, they're giving him a home run. I thought it hit on top of the scoreboard. Apparently hit on top of the wall. And Cruz has taken Jimenez deep, and now Jimenez is staring him down. Or trying to. I thought that ball hit the scoreboard.
Yeah,
I think Paul Molitor's going to want to have a look at that.
At it, yeah.
And this is an umpire's review. They're going to look at it. It sounded like it hit on top of the scoreboard and not on top of the wall. It was a metallic sound to the impact. Yeah, it hit on top of the scoreboard.
Yep. Ball
and I don't
be in play.
And it hit the back of the wall then, and then came back onto the field to play. It never did clear the wall. So there's where it hit, on top of that ledge, and then the wall behind it, and then kicked back. Scott Service is going to be given an explanation. It'll be a double for Cruz and 1 run batted in, and not a home run.
And Cruz picks up his 4th RBI of the ball game. Now 50 runs batted in on the year.
I'm wondering about the ground rule. If it hits the top of the scoreboard and then goes over the wall, which I don't think it did, but if it does that, whether it is still a home run. There's an angle that we have not seen yet. Well, it hits there, and then did it hit the gate? And if it did, then would it be ruled a home run?
No, it hit the wall first.
But it never came back on the field of play. If it left the field of play before it came back onto the field of play, then I think it would be a home run. I'm guessing that's what they are reviewing. Let's take a look at it. It's the difference between an RBI double or a 2-run home run. See, I think it hit that back wall, connected to the ledge, and then came back on the field of play. But I think they're looking to see whether it hit.
I don't believe it hit over the wall.
No, I don't either. And so Jimenez has given up at least 1 run here. So they're going to send Cruz back out to second, and I think that's the right call. Haniger scoring from second. And Jimenez, as a result of that, his ERA is going to look better.
So it's overturned. Yep, hit the little 1 hop and then came back into play.
But I guess we've never seen it come into play. If the ball hits on top of that and then hits the white railing, that's got to be a home run. I would guess. At the knees, a strike. Jimenez entered the game with an ERA of 6. Hooked into the corner, and Seager will drive in Cruz with a single.
Seager picks up an RBI, his 2nd of the ball game, on his 2nd hit.
14-3.
Seager waiting back nicely on that 66-mile-an-hour pitch.
Popped up, should take care of it. Adrianza or Polanco makes the catch. And Jimenez's ERA is heading north. Jimenez did what he was asked to do. He pitched an inning, his 5th inning of the season. And the Twins will hit now against Steve Cishek.
Cishek in his 2nd season with Seattle, making his 9th appearance. Sidearm pitcher. Good sinker, slider.
Max Kepler will hit, leading off the bottom of the 9th. Kepler, Vargas, and Castro. Outside, ball 1. It's been hard to figure out this Twins team. So many games like this, and then you look up and down the schedule so far in the prior 59 games. And for every game like this, you see a 2-1 or 3-2 Twins win. Twins won Saturday against the Giants 3-2. Won the finale in Seattle 2-1. 3-2 final game against the Angels. 2-0 in Baltimore. One of those years.
It's been good games and these.
Kepler drives it to left center field, and Heredia makes the catch, 1 away. And that'll bring up Vargas. Vargas with an RBI single his last time up. Gallardo was working him over inside, and as Bert pointed out, he opened up, pulled a line drive single to right, and drove in Kepler from second base. Swing and a miss. 1-1. And now
now 2-1. On the ground, kick by Valencia, and Vargas will reach.
Well, it'll be an error on Valencia, his 4th of the year. And for the Mariners, their 34th.
Jason Castro, 1 for 3 on the day.
Ball hit sharply, but Danny Noe should have caught that ball.
And now Castro, and a balk. Cishek committing a balk, and Vargas will go to second.
Cishek in his 2nd season with the Mariners came up with the Marlins back in 2010. Also spent time with the Cardinals.
Inside, Castro stepped into that pitch.
Had hip surgery over the winter. That's why he's making just his 8th relief appearance.
Breaking ball over for a strike, 1-1. Balk is an act of deceiving the runner.
I see he came set. That was after the balk was called.
One and one to Castro. Well, Vargas will go to third.
Well, balk and a wild pitch. Gets Vargas at third base.
After the error. Two and one. If Kenny Vargas wanted to steal home, he could do that.
Well, we saw it earlier in the ball game with Joe Mauer at third, where Seager, the third baseman, basically playing short.
2-2. And again, Castro nearly hit by the pitch.
And if you're Zunino, you do not want Vargas stealing home. Cishek with that big breaking ball. Big sweeper.
Full count to Castro. And he reached back, struck him out with a fastball, 2 down. And now Buxton. Byron 0 for 3, 2 grounders to short and a fly to center. Breaking ball inside. To right, and Haniger drifts back, makes the catch near the edge of the outfield grass, and the first one handily, easily goes to the Mariners. Tom Hanneman, the Twins open up the homestand, 11 games worth of activity in this homestand, but it didn't get off to a very good start tonight.
No, it didn't, Dick. The Twins' troubles continue at home. Their 5th consecutive loss at Target Field. Up next on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. Mejia hit very hard in this game. The picks are in the Major League Baseball draft. We'll hear from Paul Molitor, his thoughts on this loss.